Hello YouTube! Today I'm presenting to you the very first training program made specifically for women. All of the other programs I've made for people who want to look better on my page were for males because I'm a dude myself and most of the people who follow me are dudes as well. But it is truly a form of injustice that women have to follow programs and products made specifically for males that are really not tailored towards their goals or their specific characteristics. And therefore, I wanted to correct that injustice and focus entirely on my female viewers, the 2% of them that want to look better, but also want to have something that was made with them in mind. So that's what I'm going to present to you today. I understand that this is a little bit strange because you probably have never heard of a woman-specific program before. Or if you have, they tend to be garbage, right? It's going to be some ping dumbbell bullshit. You're going to be taught to do a ton of aerobic movement, etc., etc. And of course, that is not what I'm going to present to you guys today. The program you're going to have to follow if you want to look better as a woman is also going to be resistance training based, and it's also going to be centered around compound movements. But you will see that there is a different approach. Now, I shouldn't have to do this, meaning that there should be a plethora of female influencers able and willing to create the same type of program. The issue is that they are too busy producing softcore porn for their male audience and they don't give a fuck about the females that follow them because that's not where the money or the fame is. So let's try to create something serious. Let's discuss training as a woman, as a female, because there are different approaches and different things to keep in mind. I understand that this is not the dominant mode of thinking on this platform. Many guys will tell you to just train like a dude, because of course it is very comfortable when you are a male to tell women to just follow what is already pre-created for you, thinking it's going to work for them. That is a very lazy but also a disgusting mindset in my opinion, one that I see too many times, even with people on my own page who think that, well, women can just suck it up and do the exact same things that dudes do, because if it works for us, it works for them. The methods and methodologies and the practices might be the same, meaning that a body, be it male or female, is going to respond the same regardless to resistance training. But what these types ignore altogether is the fact that women don't have the same goals. So this program was crafted for females who are going to have specific goals. The goals to look better as a girl. And you're going to see that this is massively important because the exercise selection is going to be a certain way and not another. So let's take a look. This is essentially a novice program for girls. So I have my novice program for males. This one is for the chicks. It's also 3 days a week. So I'm not going to baby you and make you work less because I don't think that women have less of a work capacity, at least if you understand how to make them train. However, the types of muscle groups you're going to target and the intensity and volume is going to be entirely different. You will see that this program puts a large emphasis on legs. And the reason why is because if you are a woman, and most women are like this, you're going to first and foremost want to develop your glutes and your legs. That is normal. So most of the program should be that. But I'm not only going to make you train like this because this would make you lose on benefits that training can carry and bring forth for anyone who is interested. So training the entire body is still going to be a thing, but with less emphasis on the upper body. So this is pretty much a program that any woman who wants to get started can actually apply and that you can actually give to your girlfriend, to your mom, to whoever, to whatever female or woman in your life is important to you, that you want to see benefit from the bountiful resources that resistance training can bring into the life of an individual, and that is also going to be extremely noob friendly. None of that is going to be complicated, none of it is going to be daunting or dangerous. It's all pretty standard stuff. So, 3 days a week program. This one is a full body split. So we're going to train the entire body every single time, with a big emphasis again on the lower body. And we start with the Monday with squats. So when I say squat, it can be any knee flexion, it can be low bar, high bar, it can be a hack machine. I don't really care, as long as it's a knee flexion and a proper one at that. And you're going to be doing 4 sets of 6 to 10. You will see that with women, I always want to encourage higher reps because they have, in terms of ratios, of course, not in absolute terms, a higher muscular endurance. Women are very endurant creatures, and therefore they have a capacity to handle higher volume and higher reps. So it's always good to play by the strength of the individual you're going to train, and therefore this is what we're going to do. It also correlates with a quirk of the female anatomy, meaning that their hip sockets and the way the legs, the femur especially, inserts into the hip, creates a certain tendency for knee valgus. Knee valgus that in females is much less dangerous than in males, but can still create some wear and tear. So sticking with higher reps on the squat is going to reduce the occurrence of knee valgus. It makes it easier to actually control, to track the knees with the toes, etc., etc. All things that can participate towards proper form. So this is why I keep the reps high. This is the main set. After that, it's going to be some push-ups, as many reps as possible, or bench press 4 sets of 6 to 8. It's a first push movement. You will see that there is not much of an emphasis on push movements in the program because I consider that for women, having this obsession over chest development or shoulder development is silly because these are simply not muscles that are going to respond very positively in terms of hypertrophy. And since this is an hypertrophy program, this is my goal. Keep in mind, this is not going to turn you into a powerlifting chick, and the goal is also not to turn you into a bodybuilding chick. It's just for any woman who wants to look better. After that, you'll do with the gains and the results what you want. So these are the movements you're going to do for your upper body. And then you're going to superset that with dumbbell curls. 4 sets of 8 to 12. So the first bicep movement, the first and the last, if I'm not mistaken, there is a lot of potential in females when it comes to bicep development. They tend to be more gifted in that area in particular. They tend to have longer insertions, etc., etc. But this is a program for the average girl, and the average girl doesn't want bigger biceps. Understand that there's this now, again, equalitarian myth that women should seek to be the exact same that men are, and it's the same in YouTube fitness that you see, and that has created a ton of problems for girls, and also encourages drug use in women. But the truth is that the aesthetic and the essence and the ideal female body is not the ideal male body. And for the vast majority of women, thankfully, their ideal body doesn't entail big biceps. So this is your one bicep exercise. You still train it because there's benefits associated. It will tone your arms, meaning that it will make them look better because they're going to be muscular instead of just flabby. Then you're going to end the day with decline bench crunches, 4 sets of 12 to 15, and soft calf raises, 4 sets of 10 to 15. The first one was 12 to 15. So it's your ab exercise that focuses on volume to develop the core, and then some calf raises. Nice calves in a woman can be quite aesthetic, quite pleasing. It also is going to help you with balancing the leg. Too many girls are going to do way too much knee flexion and hip hinges. They're going to end up with a big upper leg, but a very small lower leg, and that can also lead to knee problems because of stabilization issues. So we try to avoid that as much as possible. As for the core, I know that many women don't want abs. They think abs are gross. Some dudes are like this as well, but this is not about dudes. I don't care what men like or don't like. This is what women like. Don't worry about that. This is not going to give you a six-pack like this. This actually requires much more than just 4 sets once a week. The reason why I want you to train your core is because it's going to help with stabilization, injury prevention, longevity, but more importantly, it also helps with aesthetics because even if you don't end up with a muscular core, having some muscularity in your core is going to allow the fat that you should have if you are a woman. It's perfectly normal to carry some fat on your frame. It's going to allow the fat to distribute evenly, and it's going to be more pleasing. It's going to be more graceful. After that, we move on to the Wednesday. So as you will see, the program is a full body, but it's always scheduled with in mind the idea that I pay close attention to lower body recovery. As I said, women have a very strong ability to handle volume, especially for the lower body and higher reps. And better than that, they have a lower injury rate, higher capacity to recover from damage, and especially tendon damage because of their high estrogen composition, quote unquote, like the fact that you have much more estrogen than the average male. And also because if you're smart about it, you can modify the program so as to make sure different areas get hit differently. So on Wednesday, you start with a Romanian deadlift, a hip hinge this time that is going to focus greatly on the stretching of the hamstrings and the glutes. Whereas the squat also works the glutes and the hamstrings, but in a different fashion. So you should be recovered back then. I start with the squat because the squat has a much higher injury risk if you are fatigued, whereas the RDL is very low injury risk. So you do 3 sets of 8 to 12, we're going to really push the intensity here. I'm not making you do 4 sets, you will understand later why. It's because the Wednesday is peak fatigue, quote unquote, for the posterior chain, so we need to be careful. Then you follow that up with some lat pull down, 4 sets of 10 to 15. Lat pull downs because upper back development should also be an area of interest for many women. You will not end up with a Ronnie Coleman back, you will end up with a very nicely shapely back. And I have actually noticed that in terms of potential, many women have great potential, especially in the upper back, not necessarily in the lats, but it's still going to be important to train the lats at least once. If you're the type of chick that wants a yoked upper back, at least yoked in the sense that it's going to be traced and beautifully defined, you can replace the lat pull downs by a cable row instead. It's absolutely possible. If you are the type that is still deep far down the rabbit hole of bodybuilding and you're a chick, understand that this is not necessarily for you. I am going to eventually craft a program that is going to be tailored towards your needs, that is going to look after the body and physique of Casca from Bezug, who is a jacked woman, and therefore it's going to be a different ballgame. You'll do much more upper body exercises then. But that is for the woman that just wants to get in shape. So that is your lat pull downs. And then we follow that up with bent over lateral raises. Same logic here, not straight up lateral raises because developing the medium delt is not of much interest for the average woman. However, developing the upper back, especially the shape of the upper back, is going to be a good thing. If you're going to wear a cute dress that is going to be cut here, that is going to show some cleavage, and you turn around, your upper back is also going to look very nice. So this is a very good aesthetic investment to make. It's low impact and it can actually be quite fun. You will get to discover more than just doing some hip thrust non-stop. Talking about hip thrust, as we say in French, quand on parle du loup, you end up the workout with hip thrust, 4 sets of 12 to 15, and triceps push down or chest flies. The hip thrust is a meme exercise because every single chick that I've ever seen in a gym does it. I think that the hip thrust is a bad lift if and only if it replaces squats and deads. If it doesn't and it's an help, it's an added bonus lift, then it's absolutely fine. Emphasis on the glutes, emphasis on the hamstring if you know what you're doing, reinforces proper posture, reinforces core activation. Everything is great here. Always high volume, always above 10 reps. And then the tricep push down or chest flies is up to you. Do you want to develop the chest more? I know that some women say there is some benefit to chest flies. It helps actually sculpt the breast. And in the case of a tricep push down, it's going to be if you want more development here on the side of the arm. You don't have to worry about that type of movement thickening up the arm. I know that many women are afraid of getting bulky. Yes, the long head of the tricep will get worked for that movement, but you don't have the potential to get bulky arms anyways. For the most part, it's just going to help sculpt the arm and make sure that it's not flabby so that you don't have that flabby arm underneath that many women complain about. This is a great movement for that. After this, we move on to the last day of the program where you actually reach peak fatigue in terms of total volume. So as you get to see, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, of course, it makes a ton of sense that by Friday you're going to be very tired. So the exercises I've selected on that day are less demanding for the lower body. I'm going to finish up the upper body and then give you a full weekend to fully recover from all of the work you've done during the week and also to make sure you don't burn out. Just like for men, women who get started in the gym need to make sure they don't do too much and that they don't actually tire out their mental stamina. It's just as important as the physical stamina because if you end up doing too much, you're going to take weeks off because you're going to get sick or get tired or even get a little bit anxious about the gym, and this is not the point. The gym is just as important for females as it is for males, so you have to make sure that it's something you're going to enjoy. It's also why I recommend you to actually experience. This is a base program for you, but you should be able to modify it to your own desires. If there is a lift you don't like, you can experiment with another lift. So for the Friday, I give you that choice. Do you want to do lunges? So it's going to be a unilateral movement for the legs. Or do you want to do more squats? Some chicks are going to love squats, I already know it. And squats for women develop the glutes, develop the quads, everything that is going to make you look plump and beautiful. And therefore, it's perfectly fine to want to do more. If you do more, I actually encourage you to do a variation of the squat. So maybe do a pose squat, maybe do some Smith machine squat. It's actually beneficial to have some variation and rotations. Don't do squats all the time in the same fashion. trying to modify it from the Monday to the Friday. This time you only do 3 sets because again, you're very fatigued at this point, 6 to 8 reps. The lunges is higher reps because it's also lower impact, 4 sets of 10 to 15. The two are going to develop the same thing. There's going to be just more actual loading on the squat, so it's if you're fresher, you have more fire still. You can actually do both if you want, meaning that on 1 week you could do one if you're not tired, or if you're tired you can do the other one, etc, etc. Then we follow that up with dumbbell overhead press, your one and only compound movement for the shoulder in particular, 3 sets of 6 to 10, because even though you don't have great potential for development of the shoulders, the injury prevention is very important. Women have a very high risk of tearing a rotator cuff and of shoulder injury in particular because your anatomy and body was not developed for upper body activities. So especially for women who might engage in activities that require a lot of upper body integrity, like for example, you are a gardener, you landscape, you throw things for some reason, you play softball for some reason, you pitch, all of that can create rotator cuff injuries. Men have actually evolved to be able to throw things, and therefore it's not just the size of the shoulder that differs, it's also their structure, so we are less injury prone. Making you do some dumbbell overhead press is going to reinforce the musculature of the shoulder, especially the scapular belt that is going to keep the rotator cuff in place and protect it from injuries. That's especially important as you age. Many women, when they grow older, develop osteoporosis because their bones are less dense than men. It's based off of genetics, of course, but also because women are less physically active, especially in their upper bodies. Physical activity and, of course, proper nutrition is going to allow you to prevent these issues down the line. So absolutely do your presses. And then some dumbbell rows because the upper back has great potential in women, so you can develop that as much as well. 3 sets of 8 to 12. Now, for the dumbbell rows, they're not obligatory because I know that some women will think it's too much upper back movement. That is fine. If you want to skip them, you can just move on to the next set. And the next set is going to be some hyperextensions, 4 sets of 10 to 12. So we're going to, again, work on the hamstring, work on the glutes, and work on the lower back. This is, in a sense, a form of active recovery. If you do it properly, there's no chance of you injuring your lower back, but we want to make sure the lower back is perfect and clean and healthy. We can actually make sure that you can do the entire program. This one has been bothering me the entire video. I don't know what you want, but you're very annoying. So you're going to stay with me until the end of the recording. And then the end of the program, the end of the day for that Friday is going to be standing calf raises, 4 sets of 12 to 15, more calf work. Again, it's going to help you develop that nice lower leg. Now, this is mostly going to conclude this program. Again, it's for women who want to get started with lifting. I'm not going to give you much advice for nutrition, but understand that just like with men who want to gain muscle, you are going to also need to eat. I know many women who are afraid of gaining weight, afraid of getting bulky. You don't have to worry about that. Actually, if you lift and you do a moderate bulk, so you eat via your appetite and you don't actually deprive yourself of food, you're going to realize that a lot of the fat, quote unquote, you're going to get is going to be good fat. It's going to be around your legs, around your glutes. It's going to make you look more curvy. Why? Because you're going to develop muscle in this area, and therefore the fat distribution is, because you are a female, also going to be around these muscles, and it's going to make you look better. Many women who are skinny or poorly shaped, in a sense, not that attractive, will find that lifting weights is the solution to their problems. Please don't make the mistake of doing butt implants or all that nonsense. Do your squats, do your hip hinges, train your legs as much as possible within the realm of what is actually realistic, and you're going to find that you can get the body of your dreams as well. I'm going to leave you with that. Have a good night and see you soon.